I wanted to explore this side of mine and get into more of an entrepreneurship kind of role or choose something like that. I'm a technology guy, so this was one part that I wanted to kind of naturally progress into. What I realized soon was that it's not just about doing something on my own, whereas that's something that must be done. So there's this goal of being an entrepreneur, and there are multiple ways of doing that. Some people like to go solo. I thought there is a company who's gone through all of these experiences. They've gone past that struggles. When I start something new, I don't want to go 10 years back into that journey. I want to build with something. So that realization was really powerful for me that, it doesn't matter that I do only some things on my own. But if I can get some help and get it done rather than just doing it myself, that's more important than anything else.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me for another Growth Secrets interview. I'm here with Mazhar Khan. He's with Oro. We've had a nice conversation before this started. He told me that I can call him Maz, which, let's face it, I would mess up his full name. So I'm glad he's a nice guy and is allowing me to do that. So, Maz, thank you so much for joining me today.
No problem. It's nice talking to you. And you did well for the first time, so don't sell yourself short.
All right. I appreciate it. It's too kind. Well, Maz, tell us about yourself. I'd love to hear your story, what brings you to this point in your career.
Sure. So I'm based in Raleigh, North Carolina at the moment. I moved here 2 years. I think this is the third year running. So not a long time ago, still getting used to the American life. But I've been here in 2016 before and had a glimpse of what it is. Was really exciting to see the work prospects over here. I do work with a company named Webinize, with whom I was in back home in Pune in India. We have a really large team over there. But when I came here in 2016, it made sense that we discussed and thought that I should come here and grow another aspect of the business. In fact, start a new line of service offering that was not there with Webinize before. And that's where we formed Oro. That's how Oro was born. We're offering intelligent automation services in that. We can discuss a little more details, but that's been going on since November 2016. And then I moved here to focus specifically on Oro.
That's great. I appreciate you giving that background. And we talked a little bit about that before going live here. Just the idea of, and I would call this intrapreneurship. I've heard that said before, where you're, while working for a company, you've been given the opportunity to take ownership of a line of business and from within birth a new company. That's a really unique path that I don't think many people even know about, much less have experienced it. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What that process was like?
Sure. So I have actually one of the turning points for me was when I was working with Cognizant earlier, which is like a huge company, and I was in Germany, deployed there for a project. That's where I got the first taste of what client interaction is about when you're in the midst of things. I didn't speak German, so that added to my challenge, to my curiosity of knowing them and so on. Eventually, I did learn a bit. That's where I picked up that, or had that little bit of confidence that I can do this. And I wanted to explore this side of mine and get into more of an entrepreneurship kind of role or choose something like that. Before that, in my career, I'm a technology guy, so I've done everything from development to designing, to be an architect, to be someone who captures requirements and then builds products out of them and so on. And this was one part that I wanted to kind of naturally progress into. So that came about, and what I realized soon was that it's not just about doing something on my own, whereas that's something that must be done, if it makes sense. So there's this goal of being an entrepreneur, and there are multiple ways of doing that, right? Some people like to go solo. I thought there is a company which who's gone through all of these experiences and has reached a stage where they've gone past that struggles. When I start something new, I don't want to go 10 years back into that journey. I want to build with something. And of course, there are challenges with starting a new organization also. But you do have some advantages over there. You're cutting down your risks. So that realization was really powerful for me, that, it doesn't matter that I do only some things on my own. But if I can get some help and get it done rather than just doing it myself, that's more important than anything else. So that's where it was. And it worked in my favor in a way. You have to be very genuine in your request, because not every company just wants, an employee to come up and say, I'm going to spawn a new company and I want you guys to support me, right? So you have to show and communicate internally the vision, what you have, what's in it for them as well. So in case of Webinize, this wasn't a business that they were into. It was something new. So I got something new to the table and said, okay, well, this is what it is. We're not competing with existing Webinize clients and so on. And how we're going to add more to this, and how this is something in the future. It's looking 10 years ahead, and not something that has been done and we're just offering something that's flooded the market. So that, in a nutshell, is how it went about.
So that's, I'm going to say I have a lot of respect for that, because that, I'm sure, was a nerve-wracking conversation to have, right? Especially when you put it that way. Hey, I want to build something and I want you to support me. It's totally different, or not totally different, but it's a departure from what you hired me to do. But it's smart, right? Because there's a lot to be said for the resources that you have at your disposal when you build a sort of an offshoot of an existing company. That's really great. And just having those people to be able to even just to talk to, right? Because entrepreneurship can be a very lonely life. And you can feel like nobody knows what's going on but you, and it's all inside your head. And a lot of times people suffer from mental illness and depression and things like that, because they're so stuck inside their own head, and there's nobody to externalize this with. So yeah, there's a lot to be said for going that route. So I want to then kind of use this as a springboard to talk about the question I ask all the time, which is, I want to know what the problem is that you saw in the marketplace that made you think, hey, this is a hole that we could plug here, and help you form the business idea. What that process look like?
Sure. So with Oro specifically, as I said, we are offering intelligent automation services. I'll just give you a quick glimpse of what that is first, and then I'll relate that with the need which is there. So we as humans have developed this habit of working like robots. It's, the tables have turned. We had introduced robots in a way in the manufacturing area, because there was a lot of things that had to be done over and over again without application of much thought, and that had to be done at a particular speed and so on. Okay, humans were not being utilized for their best capability, which is being creative, being empathetic, and having conversations. No machines can do that, even with the advanced technologies that we have right now, right? That's where robots came in the manufacturing process. But with knowledge work, however, we stuck to that. So that's why we had so many people behind desks just entering, keying data and so on. So automation kind of takes that away to free people and give them what I like to call the brain bandwidth to do something which is more. Okay. So this was a thing that was there with me for quite some time before I knew what the answer was. Then I found that robotic process automation, or intelligent automation as it's called right now, is the answer to that. So to me, the thing that appeal is it gives you that brain bandwidth to do something really creative. And when I looked back also, our generations, we shouldn't be, I don't know how much pride we can take in something that we've innovated, there's no innovation, there is no invention, there's no invention. We've harped on the inventions of yesteryears. We have the same telephone. Probably, I think CDMA was the last thing that was really invented. We have the steam engine. We've used it in a different way and stuff like that. So we're packing things in a different way, and we're doing innovative solutioning of stuff, right? So what is stopping us? We're getting smarter and smarter, but we're not doing that. It's exactly that we don't have the capacity from a day-to-day life, or the time, or the bandwidth in the brain to actually apply. This will actually lead to a better, future for everyone. So that's what personally got me in. Okay. In the market, on the ground, in the business situations, people have different needs for intelligent automation. The biggest one is, as I said, is to do repetitive things over and over again, to offload that work, so that that same stuff can be cross-trained, or you can do that into more meaningful work. That's the biggest one. But there's another situation where, for example, we had one of our clients which wanted to deploy intelligent automation to confirm orders to a stock exchange. They were a clearing house, right? So for them, doing repetitive work over and over again was not towards offloading something from other people, but it was more a thing that added to their top line, to their revenue. The more they added, the more they could confirm to the stock exchange, the more accuracy they would have, and so on. So different people have different needs towards this. And again, what happens is, I'm coming from a software development. We build products for people. Okay, you have a requirement for which you build a product. Software development life cycles, although they are in the age of agile development, it's much quicker. But you still need a considerable amount of time to roll out your product in the market and get to a stage where your product is stable and you're catering to the needs of the business. But what happens in the time is, you define the requirement, say, on day one, and you delivered a product on the 6th month, or the 3rd month, or the 6th. That requirement exactly caters to what you had defined at that time. That software exactly is built to what that requirement was. But the ground situation might have changed right now. So you're always doing this catch up between, building the software and then what the requirements are. Imagine car sales, for example. When I was with Cognizant over there, we were doing a project for Daimler. And they said in some of the markets, they're revising their strategy every 3 months. Every quarter, their sales strategy is changing. And no software can keep up to that. So what do? They use people to fill in the gap in the existing requirement in the market and what the software is. So they put more and more people, and that's where you get all of these, back office guys, people who are doing keying, sitting behind the desk and moving data from one system to another, just to make sure that everything in the system, in the IT system, flows together. Now, again, this keeps building up and it becomes a big bottleneck. Offshoring is not a solution sometimes, or if it's a solution, if it's a solution, there is a cap to it, and so on. So the service that we offer, this taps exactly this need, that you're able to run your business with your existing IT systems, with your existing investments, much more effectively.
Well, that's fantastic, Maz. So a couple of things I want to key in on here. So the first thing you talked about is this idea of freeing up mental bandwidth. And that alone is huge, right? And I know I can speak for many people watching this right now, that you're not really capped. And I know that I'm not really capped by well, I am capped, and I'll put it this way. I am capped by the physical time I have available to do things. What I feel much less capped in is my ability to solve problems and create solutions and things like that. But where I'm capped on that is just not having that physical bandwidth. Those two things are kind of fighting against each other, right? The work I have to do and my ability to spend the time necessary to think about how to do the better work, right? So if you can't create that mental bandwidth to be able to do what we really, what the real hard work is, which is thinking, then you can't be nearly as effective, right? In your business can't be as effective. The other thing there is this ever-changing environment and landscape that we're in, never more so than now. And the need for dynamic IT solutions to move as quickly as the market is moving right now. I think those are both very interesting points and something we could talk about quite a bit. I do want to transition, though, if we can, to what I consider to be the number two job of any entrepreneur. Is you talked about your solution, right? You talked about the problem in the marketplace and the solution you created. Well, the second job is now we've got to get that into the hands of as many people as possible. What are your growth systems look like from a sales and marketing perspective, and how are you growing the business?
Yeah. So there are two parts to our business. One is knowing the automation technology and how it is going to benefit um, a client or an organization. Okay. The other part of it is the domain itself. So I don't come across as a banking and financial domain expert, or I'm not an insurance domain expert or a manufacturing. If you talk to me about that, you'll not have a blank face. I do understand what for insurance, what underwriting is, what reinsurance is, how do they, kind of hedge their risks and so on. But I don't know the things at the depth of it. So the first thing that I realize is that I have to collaborate with consultants or people who are experts in this space and go in, with a double attack, saying that, okay, we are the automation experts. Probably the client itself says, you don't need any other domain expertise. I will provide you that. I have enough resources. If not, we say, okay, I do know, I have to strengthen this deal. I do have a consultant that comes in with me. So that's one channel that we have. The other one is more, which is organic, which we do sales directly, tapping, reaching as many customers as possible through channels. But a very big part of this is through referral. It's been there for quite some time. It's both an advantage and disadvantages sometimes, because you do get really good referrals if you do good work. That speaks volume about your business, your ethics, your work capabilities, and so on. But you can't sometimes move just out of that and get new clients out who have not heard about you anymore. But we do enjoy a lot of referrals, and we've grown a lot with those. We've grown a lot with partnering with similar companies also. So we've gone openly and offered them help, not just in capacity, but in capability also, where there is a gap. So we go in and we say, okay, let's partner together in a deal. You have these skills. We can contribute with this. If both of us go together, we are definitely going to, get this rather than each of us competing. So we've done this with a couple of really huge partners in this space, and we've landed big deals also. So it's been there. And again, it comes from where I started with, more than doing it yourself. It's more that, that things should be done. So it's different ways of approaching it. It's more, not being really narrow focused and just one way of looking at things. You can look at things multiply in different directions. But having said that, yes, the direct relationship is also a part, but we do have partnerships and partners.
I got you. And those partnerships can be really fruitful. I've had many conversations with not just interview guests, but my clients as well. We call them channel partnerships, right? And this idea and that's business development when that happens. Deals that can create lots of sales or large sales, not just small ones. The other thing you keyed on there is is that we have, you have to create repeatable and consistently high quality customer experiences. That's going to be your best marketing collateral that exists. Maz, this has been a really fascinating conversation. I love hearing about industries I don't know as much about. Admittedly, when you said smart automation or smart technology automation, the first thought that came to my mind was, well, that seems a lot better than dumb automation. So I appreciate you educating me and the audience on this, on this industry, and how a business grows and how to grow a business from inside of another business. How can people continue to learn more about you and what you guys are building over there?
So we do have, there's a lot of resources. If you just go and type in intelligent automation on Google, you'll get a lot. There's also noise. So what we also did was, if you check out our website, it's aurorpa.com, aurorpa.com. It's probably one of the simplest website in this domain or industry that you will find. And we've tried to really keep things very, very simple over there. So that's some place where it's more easily digestible information that you can find. And there is also further reading over there. We do also write a few blogs and articles on how this technology is relevant. And I don't know if you noticed this already, I don't use a lot of jargons. So that's how we've tried to keep it over there also, just keeping it simple so that it's easily digestible. Because my aim is not to reach the people who already know about this. The people who don't know about this need to know what is there in it for them. The people who know are probably doing it already. So that's where you can go across. But there are a lot of other credible resources also. And we do backlink to a lot of those.
Well, I mean, that's really well said. And I joke, but and I noticed the website too. And one thing I talk a lot about is the need for clarity and the need to be understood in your messaging and your marketing. I think when we get so involved in our businesses, we have a knack, we have the habit of throwing around jargon and throwing around terms and technologies and acronyms and things like that we understand and they're second nature to us. But you have to understand that your marketing and your messaging, you're trying to reach people that aren't doing it already. And that's a really great point that I think we forget sometimes. We're not trying to reach people that are already doing what we sell, right? We want the people that aren't doing it. And so to speak in a way that's very clear to them, I think is really wise. And we'll do this. We'll definitely link to your website in the comments. Folks, check that out. Also, if you have any questions or if you're curious about what this is and what it could mean for your business, drop a comment below, and I will make sure that Maz gets that and sees that and is able to get some feedback for you. Also, if you're watching this interview live, do me a favor and just leave a comment that says live. And if you're watching the replay later on, just leave a comment that says replay. Helps us understand the right time to schedule and to publish these interviews. Maz, I really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for being with me. It's been great. And for the folks watching or listening, thank you so much for being a part of this and for helping to make this podcast possible. I appreciate you all, and I'll be looking forward to the next one. Thank you so much.